Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. If you or someone you know has student loans, then pay attention. A new wave of scammers is targeting federal loan borrowers, both students and parents. For this month's Consumer Connection, we're calling on Attorney General Consumers Assistance Program and the Vermont Student Assistance Corporation, or VSAC. Joining us via Zoom are VSAC President Scott Giles and Assistant Attorney General Meredith Chodwar. Good afternoon to both of you, and thank you so much for being with us.
Well, good morning. Yeah, thank you for having us.
So, with the recent news about public service loan forgiveness and the restart of repaying many federal student loans on February 1st, 2022, there's confusion and concern about how to qualify for the forgiveness or how to consolidate student loans, and scammers are taking advantage. Scott, can you set the scene for us on the scope of student loans in Vermont and how Vermonters can avoid getting caught in a scam?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you've indicated, this is the environment in which we always see this kind of activity begin to take place. But according to the U.S. Fed, roughly 90,000 Vermonters have student loans with an average balance of $34,000, $35,000 a year. And many of those have loans with the federal government. And as you mentioned, as part of the response to COVID, we suspended payments for those borrowers for almost 2 years. And they're getting ready to go back into repayment in late January. And that, combined with all of the talk about various loan cancellation and the possibility of loan forgiveness programs, creates an environment that we've seen before, in which kind of bad actors will step in to take advantage of both the confusion and the anxiety that people feel to try and kind of get between them and their loan servicers.
And that's already started. You're getting some calls about this stuff. So it's active out there, these scammers.
Absolutely. I think if you've got insomnia and you watch late night TV, you'll see kind of late night advertisements saying call 1-800. President. The president has authorized us to provide you with loan cancellation, kind of variations on a message that plays off of what people are seeing in social media to encourage them to call and start working with them to get services that should be free.
Right. So explain briefly the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program and why it might even be a target for scammers.
So back in 2007, Congress created the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program out of a concern that because student debt for many borrowers was high enough that they were unable or felt unable to take public service jobs, working with nonprofits, working in state government. And this program was created that was designed to allow somebody who worked in the public service for 10 years and made 10 years of on-time payments to have the remainder of their debt canceled at the end of 10 years. The challenge was the complexity of the program meant that you had to be working for the right employer, you had to be in the right loan program, making the right type of repayments. And what we find is that a program that was very well intended was denying lots of people the benefit that Congress and I think all of us expected them to be able to get because they were missing one of those three steps. And that kind of complexity just creates a ripe environment for bad actors to step in and make promises that they can help you navigate this that they have no intention of doing.
Right. So Meredith, let's go a little bit deeper into the loan forgiveness program and what is potentially opening that door to scammers.
Thanks, and that's a great question. As we were talking about, and you may know that 98% of the applications for folks that applied for this program through the complexity of applying for it were denied. That means only 2 out of every 100 applicants were approved. Think of it, thousands of teachers and government employees, nonprofit, nurses, firemen, policemen, and military service members were denied relief from the burden of their student loan debts. So I am very happy to report that the Department of Education has taken steps to try to fulfill its promise by creating some changes. Generally, as Scott explained earlier, that to qualify for debt relief to this program, the borrower must have the right R's. And I believe we have a slide that you need to have the right loan. This program is for federal student loans only. It doesn't apply to private loans. You have to have the right consolidation, a direct loan consolidation. You have to be working for the right employer, a qualifying employer such as a nonprofit or government entity. And you have to have the right payments, 120 on-time payments over 10 years. Unfortunately, as Scott mentioned, many public servant borrowers did not strictly meet the requirements and therefore were denied. For example, maybe they had one late payment or they consolidated with the wrong debt servicer. I mean, there was a whole host of reasons why people were denied. Nonetheless, all these denials undermine the intent and spirit of this program, the promise to provide debt relief to these folks that have worked in our communities in these public service jobs. To this end, the Department of Education has implemented a new waiver program that's allowing folks to meet these requirements when they previously maybe did not. So this public service loan forgiveness, the first thing that I want to point out is that this is not a permanent change to date, that this is a waiver that expires October 31st, 2022. That means borrowers need to get their loans in order, or at least down the right track before October 31st, 22. And this waiver means that folks will receive credits for payments made under other federal loans if they were in the wrong loan category. This means a borrower who made payments that were not yet consolidated, those payments will count. If the payments were made for less than the amount or maybe were late, they would count. Also, you still need to be employed by the right employer. But it's another important thing is that you no longer have to be continuing to work for that employer when you make your application. So for folks that previously qualified, they can now go back and apply because they met the qualifications previously. Next slide, please. Probably the most exciting change that I think that they've made is that military service members are getting credit for months of their active service. It's my understanding, and Scott probably knows better than I do, that when a military member goes on active duty, their federal student loans automatically get deferred. But under this, and so all of those months of service previously didn't count towards their qualifying 10-year time. But under this waiver, those active service members now get those, my understanding is that those months will count. And then this is equally important. Anybody who applied earlier, 98% of the people applied. If you got denied, you're supposed to go back and apply again. And
try again.
The Department of Education is going to try to make sure that you qualify. So again, it's really important that people get the word out. If you know someone who's eligible, or if you're eligible, or anybody, please get folks, either call CAP or go to the Department of Education, and we'll get you pointed in the right direction.
Awesome. And so if people do get unsolicited calls about a student loan, what are some of the things that might tip them off that there's a scam there?
Sure, that's another great question. A call or a company or a solicitation, anybody that might be a scam if they're requiring that you pay up front or have monthly fees, promise for immediate and total loan forgiveness or cancellation. Unfortunately, there's no magic. Student loans are forgiven, I wish. And if they ask for your federal student account ID, if they ask you to submit a form that gives them power of attorney or something like that, if they claim their offer's limited, we see this throughout scams that, this is an offer, you've got to work with me today, I'm the only one that can do it. If they send communications with grammatical errors, that's another tip that maybe it's a scam. Or if they use fake or unauthorized logos, that's another thing that tips off folks that it might not be legitimate.
Great tips. And Scott, does VSAC call borrowers about their student loan?
We do when borrowers, if somebody is struggling with their payments or behind, we'll reach out to them about their particular account just to help make sure that they're taking advantage of all the benefits and flexibilities that are available to them to get them back on track. But as Meredith said, be very wary when somebody is calling you, making offers, asking to be paid asking, over the phone, they've called you and now they're asking you for personal information, social security number, your FSA, your Department of Education ID, the things that Meredith talked about. Those are flags right then that this may not be the party that you are intending to talk to. And what I really encourage all federal borrowers and our borrowers as well, now is a really good time to log into your own account, take a look at your balance. You know that if you have been in a payment cessation, you're going to be going back into repayment in January. And take charge of your own loan and proactively position yourself to be able to start repayment in January and take advantage of these loan programs. And as Meredith has said, if you've got any questions at all navigating all this, because there's lots of other confusions, call Meredith's team or call VSAC. We provide loan counseling to all Vermonters, regardless of whether they're customers. We were a former federal servicer. We understand that program. And we will even get on the phone with you and your servicer to help you navigate this path.
Great. So if you think you have been scammed, you can call this number that's on your screen. And quickly from the VSAC perspective, what should people do if they think they've been scammed?
If you've been scammed, feel free to give us a call as well. We'll provide counsel with regard to how to manage the student loan side of this, directly with you. And we often partner with the Attorney General's office to try and help Vermonters get themselves back in good standing with their loans and to extricate themselves from exactly these kinds of problems.
Okay, and things like, of course, put a phrase on your credit report and other things to just really work at that. So let's make sure that everybody knows the numbers again. So if you have questions, you can reach VSAC by calling 833-802-8722. And or if you want to call the Vermont Attorney General's Consumer Assistance Program, if you think you might have been scammed, you can call 800-649-2424, or you can write that address there right on the screen, ago.cap@vermont.gov. Meredith and Scott, thank you so much for being with us today, and we hope that everybody alerts their neighbors, their friends, their family about this scam.
Thank you, Fran.
Thank you, and happy holidays.
Okay, thank you for your time. And thank you once again for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.